All right, UFC Fight Night, Allen versus Costa, and MVP MMA 1, Rousey versus Carano full card recaps. I'll also talk a little bit about the rest of the fighting that went on this weekend, namely the Keyshawn Davis versus Nahir Albright card. Okay, I missed the first half of like both cards, so I'll just give a recap of what I saw from the highlights and stuff. I'll start from the main event of the UFC. I'll go with the most recent. Rousey versus Carano. So really quick fight. What was it? 17 seconds, something like that. They immediately engage in a scramble. Rousey gets on top, gets in the mount, pulls an armbar, gets a tap right away. Pretty much how most people thought it was going to go. Gina Carano pulled a guillotine. Maybe that was like her Hail Mary shot of getting a win. I'm surprised, honestly, at some of the odds on this card. Like Rousey being minus 600, when you see a guy like Saladin Parnasse being minus 1500, and Rebels to Spain being also a huge, like, giant favorite, and Ngannou being a giant favorite, I'm surprised Rousey wasn't a giant favorite. I'm surprised Mike Perry wasn't a giant favorite. But yeah, I don't know. I went to record this immediately after the fight ended, so I haven't seen the post-fight speech or not. I'm sure it's going to be, Gina Carano's a great opponent, and this fight's been building up for forever, but I'm the best woman in the world. I'm better than all the women in the UFC, whatever. She might call out Amanda Nunes. I'm sure Nunes will probably retire from the UFC after her next fight, assuming she fights Harrison and doesn't win, like, dominantly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that excited. I don't give a fuck about women's MMA, regardless of how big the names are. I don't really care about much MMA that isn't high level, despite the names. This was a fun card. I'm glad I watched it. I'm also glad I didn't, have to pay a pay-per-view for it or anything like that. But, yeah, Rousey gets the finish real quick. Looks like she's supposed to. I'm glad to know that that's still in her, because that makes, a potential build-up with a Kayla Harrison or an Amanda Nunes at least a little bit exciting. I guess she already fought Amanda Nunes, so maybe they won't try to sell that fight, especially if Nunes looks competent. But I can see people dumb enough to think that she could do that to Harrison. And maybe she could, because women's MMA is pretty shit. Co-main event was Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz. Really good performance by, I don't know, decent performance by Mike Perry. I don't know if you've ever watched a Diaz brothers fight since 2001, but anytime either of them get hit in the body, they double over. They basically touch their feet with their hands, bending to the floor. Early on in the first, it was about halfway through the first round, Mike Perry landed a couple good punches to the body, just really wide, right hook, basically. He'd call it a wide right to the body, I think. Anytime they hit, Mike Perry threw like 3 of them. Anytime they hit Diaz, he keeled over. He, dropped his hands completely, wasn't covering his face. And then it seemed like, I don't know if Perry was going for the knockout or maybe he just is dumb. But he completely stopped going to the body after that. He went a couple more times with a little bit less success, keeping his punches straighter. And I think if he threw those wide rights to the body a couple more times, in the first or second round, he would have gotten a finish right away. But instead, he starts to beat him up to the body, and Nate Diaz has a moment at the end of the first where he lands a couple combinations. Mike Perry doesn't deal super well with straight punches because he keeps his hands low and he doesn't move his head a ton. So anything that's like quick and snappy is going to land. And Nate Diaz does have a good one too. He's got a decent jab. Not a ton of power in anything he throws, but he is able to land in volume, like a couple punches consecutively towards the end of the first, which gives Mike Perry some problems. But in the second round, Mike Perry comes out. He has a couple moments in the clinch where he lands some big strikes, but he's going for elbows on the breaks from the clinch, on the breaks from the grappling moments. And he's cutting the fuck out of Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has a ton of scar tissue, same as Nick Diaz, so he's going to cut up super easily. So Mike Perry went for that, which again is weird because that kind of confirms to me he wasn't going for a big flashy knockout. Because everyone knows that, like, if you hit Nate Diaz in the face, especially with an elbow, especially with a knee, he's going to cut super easily and it's probably going to get stopped by the doctors. So him throwing elbow shows that I don't think he cared a ton. I think he was just trying to win. I don't think he cared a ton about going for the knockout, which kind of bewilders me why he wasn't going to the body at all. I think people just are dumb when they fight the Diaz brothers. I mean, literally everyone that's fought Nate or Nick Diaz since 2010 has had the information to know that they don't take body shots well, and no one's finished them with body shots ever. McGregor hurt him bad in the second fight with body shots, didn't capitalize. No one's really tried to teep against Nate Diaz a ton. Mike Perry threw 0 leg kicks in this fight, which I get he's not much of a low kicker, but come on, it's fucking Nate Diaz. He stands in like the most turned over boxing stance ever. Super, not even bladed or square, just like more that his front foot is turned in, so you can outside low kick him pretty easily, even if you're a southpaw. But yeah, he lands a ton of elbows, cuts Nate Diaz open real bad, and thankfully, His corner throws in the towel. It didn't get stopped by the doctor, which I think it might have if the fight went another round. He was cut really bad with a couple giant cuts. One right above his hairline, one on his forehead, kind of above his brow ridge, and then a bunch around his eyes. But none of them, like, no major cuts that were, bleeding into his eye or causing any, immediate problems. So I don't think the fight was going to get stopped by the doctor at the end of round 2, but I imagine if round 3 was similar to round 2 and Mike Perry didn't get a stoppage, like an actual finish, he would have got a doctor stoppage between rounds 2 and 3. I'm sorry, 3 and 4. So I think it's smart for his corner to stop that fight. They kind of knew that, like, whatever landed was going to hurt him. He's probably just going to get more cut. And cuts, more than, punches to the face, are going to cause more permanent damage, especially when you're later in your career. If Nate Diaz got knocked out, it would be bad. It would probably be bad for his brain, but it wouldn't be the end of the world because he's probably not going to fight that many times after this. But if he gets cut, like, no matter how many times he's going to fight going forward, him getting cut is going to permanently fuck up his face. So it's smart for them to stop it. It's weird, like, you see high-level title fights, or not even that, like, you see UFC fights between two ranked guys, where one guy is clearly getting his ass kicked, has no chance in the world to win the fight, and they don't throw in the towel. And then you see basically an exhibition match between Mike Perry and Nate Diaz Diaz's corner has the wherewithal to throw in the towel. So I hope we see that more. We see more of that in non-exhibition fights. But good performance of Mike Perry, I guess. He kept the fight entertaining. There's a couple moments where Nate Diaz kind of stalled out in the clinch, or stalled out. He pulled for a leg lock at one point. But Mike Perry was there to make the fight entertaining, and I'm pretty confident of that. I just think it probably would have been smarter if he just threw wide punches instead of elbows. I know the elbows are kind of his thing, and he hasn't thrown a ton in BKFC because he can't throw elbows in BKFC. But I don't know. I think that there was a little bit room for improvement. Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Pretty good performance by Ngannou. He was very patient. Kind of the similar looks we saw with Ngannou that he had since the second Stipe fight. Throws the hard outside low kicks. He's got a good sprawl. He's very strong. When he gets shot on, he pulls, goes for the sort of the guillotine headlock or the arm and guillotine headlock. We're just looking for control, looking for a place to efficiently use his strength. And he did good there. Felipe Lins landed a couple punches. He's a little bit quicker than Ngannou, but he's much smaller. Ngannou throws a left hook. I think it was an uppercut, a right hook, and then he throws kind of like a eyes closed, like not even looking left hook, and it lands right in the temple. Felipe Lins doesn't go out, but he gets real jelly legged. His body does like the Johnny Walker cartoonish. Legs get stiff, upper body gets flung in the air, and then he slams his head on the ground and actually goes unconscious from hitting his head on the ground. And Ngannou pulls his fucking punches, doesn't throw an unnecessary hammer fist, which is great to see because literally every Ngannou fight where he gets a knockout, he hits the guy with at least one errant punch. And Herb Dean was trying to give him any opportunity he could. Herb Dean loves to fucking see someone get hit in the head unnecessarily. But Felipe Lins didn't have to get that. There was a point where Ngannou had Felipe Lins hurt, and he was going to throw some ground and pound, and I heard his corner say, throw those elbows. And it's like, why the fuck are you telling Ngannou to throw elbows from full guard? Like, why on earth? You could just throw punches. It's fucking Ngannou. He's the hardest hitting guy in the sport. Just land a couple big fucking hammer fist or big wide punches from the guard. It's Felipe Lins. He'll finish him. But he got the knockout. Good performance by him. I think they should make him versus someone we'll talk about in a second, Rebels to Spain. Saladin Parnasse versus Kenny Cross. Parnasse was clearly out there to make an entertaining fight, which I'm glad to see because you'll see, on the Contender Series or on other like Misfits boxing events, you'll see guys who don't get a ton of viewership. I know Parnasse does have good viewership in KSW. The Europeans do love that, but this is basically a whole new audience for Saladin Parnasse, where he had an opportunity to like make a name for himself, and he actually went out there looking to make an entertaining fight. Kenny Cross was gonna shoot takedowns and look for the clinch, and try to stall out some moments, and he was having some success doing that. But Parnasse was getting right to his feet, and then as soon as he would get up, he wouldn't stall in the clinch. He would just throw big haymakers, hard kicks, and he started landing the body. And Kenny Cross, anytime he got punched in the body, would just go high guard and turn away and like just try not to get hit. And then Parnasse landed a big combination, ended with a body punch, and Kenny Cross folded. That was the end of the fight. Really good performance by Parnasse. I'm glad he went out there and tried to make it look exciting because I've seen some fucking, French kickboxers do the opposite before. So if Parnasse can be around next year for, maybe even UFC Serbia if he wants to turn around that quick, but they'll go to, Paris again by the end of the year, I'm sure. So if they can get him signed by then, they've got a really good fighter with a pretty big name in Europe. So yeah, I think the UFC should try to sign Parnasse. Honestly, for Parnasse's sake, I hope the UFC doesn't sign him because he's probably going to get paid worse and going to fight the Apex twice. Ruel Spain versus Junior Dos Santos. Pretty good fight, actually. Neither of them shot for takedowns, which probably not smart from Junior Dos Santos, but I do respect it. It seemed like his game plan was, stay on the outside, which is going to be rough against a guy who's way taller and really good at fighting on the outside. But Junior Dos Santos was like, get on the outside, try to use his footwork to make Despain miss, and then punish him with combinations and low kicks. Anytime Despain engaged and hesitated, Junior Dos Santos would step outside and throw a hard outside low kick. And it worked pretty well. He knocked him off his feet once. He landed a couple really good low kicks. It wasn't working enough. He really needed to capitalize on those moments, or stay perfectly safe on the feet. And it got to a point where Despain realized that if he goes first, he's not going to get caught with a punch at the same time he's throwing. JDS wasn't going first a ton. He was making Despain miss. So Despain started throwing, he would throw a lead uppercut, then a rear uppercut, then a left hook. And it would land, or it wouldn't land, but it wouldn't matter because JDS would start backing up and he wouldn't be able to throw as well. And then Despain threw a left hook, right hook, a right hook, left hook. All right, well, I'm trying to think. I think it was a right hook, left uppercut, straight right, and it just put JDS out completely stiff. Every punch landed and landed hard, and you can't take 3 consecutive giant punches from a guy as big as Despain and not go out. So just Dos Santos went out cold, slammed on the floor. It was a fucking sick knockout. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a good performance in both. I respect JDS for not shooting, but if you wanted to win, I think he had to shoot. Namo Fagil versus Jake Babian. Jake Babian had a good first round. He had some control in the grappling. Fagil is a good grappler, so I respect Babian for having some moments of success, especially as, I think, a pretty big underdog, right? Yeah. But Fagil got the darts in the second round. Looked pretty solid. Got in a fight with Arman Tsarukyan after the fight, which is funny. I think that was literally just like a race war. It's like the Kurdish guy versus the Armenian. But Fagil I wasn't that impressed by. I don't know. This should definitely mention. Literally everyone on the card looked juiced to the fucking gills. Nate Diaz came in crazy shape. He weighed in, he looked like JDM. Mike Perry was in great shape too. His back looked fucking ripped. Ngannou was super, super lean. The best shape I've ever seen him in. Felipe Lins looked, he went up a weight class. So it's kind of hard to tell if he changed it much, but Parnas looked fucking ripped. Despain looked leaner than ever. JDS looked jacked for being 42. Everyone looked giant. Namo Fagil looked like fucking prime Basile Fez, like super, super juiced. But he looked fine, I guess. I don't know. Adriano Moraes versus Pumi Nkuta. Really good fight. I thought Nkuta kind of got fucked over at the end, but I'll get to that in a second. Nkuta was doing really good work with the striking. He had some good moments in the first round. He landed a couple big punches. And at the end of the first round, he actually landed a perfect head kick, like a switch stance head kick, right in the temple of Moraes with the foot. I guess it wasn't perfect because he landed with the shin. Probably would have got the knockout. But then he got on top, landed a couple ground and pound punches, went for a rear naked choke, didn't get it. Second round, Moraes got the back, looked for some submissions, didn't really get any. And then it was pretty even on the feet, so round 2 went to Moraes. And then round 3, Nkuta was landing pretty well on the feet. It was a slower round, but Nkuta had the clearest disparity in success, I think, as far as just like the tit for tat, who's winning the most exchanges. Nkuta did pretty well, and then with 10 seconds left, he's like, come on, let's scrap. Moraes throws a flying knee. It doesn't land, but he threw it as Nkuta was switching stances, and he landed with like the shin to the chest, and it knocked Nkuta off balance. Moraes jumped on his back, threw in the rear naked choke. Nkuta throws up a thumbs up. He's waving the ref. It's all good. It's all good. Bell rings. Herb Dean tries to break the grip. Moraes keeps squeezing, and Nkuta goes out. Clearly, he goes out. I mean, it wasn't clear, in real time, but with the replay, it was very clear that Nkuta only went out after the bell rang. He was fighting for hands as the bell rang. He was smiling as the bell rang, and then 3 seconds later, he went out because Moraes kept squeezing. So kind of a scummy move by Moraes. I really do think it should have just gone to this decision. And a lot of people scored round 3 for Moraes because he basically choked Pumi Nkuta unconscious. But I thought round 3 was pretty clear for Nkuta. He landed by far the most in the striking, did more damage. And if that round was the correctly timed and Moraes let go of the choke, Nkuta wouldn't have gone out, and it wouldn't have been that dominant round. Especially when, I originally would have scored it for Moraes because I thought the flying knee landed on the chin and Nkuta got rocked, but it didn't land at all. So I don't know. I think Nkuta kind of got screwed. I saw that his management had appealed the decision, and I think this is the only type of fight that actually does get overturned. Maybe not to a win, maybe to a no contest. It'll be interesting to see what they do if they do overturn it, because you know, they can overturn it to a decision, and Nkuta was up on the scorecards, but they might be like, well, he's only up on the scorecards because whatever. So I don't know. If they overturn it, I hope they overturn it to an Nkuta win, because if they did, I think I swept the card. My picks on these two cards are pretty good. I think I went like 20-4 or something like that, over the course of both cards. But yeah. And then Jason Jackson got a sick knockout right away in the fight. Missed the rest of the card, but yeah, Jason Jackson threw just a 1-2-3 right in the chin. He was only 6-1. He was the same odds as fucking Ronda Rousey. I guess I think both of them should have been bigger favorites. I don't know. The UFC card. Let me open that up. I'll start with the main event in Arnold Allen versus Melquizael Costa. Really good fight. It was a pretty even fight. I thought both of them fought pretty good fights. Despite the fact that I think Arnold Allen clearly won either 4-1 or 5-0, both fighters gave a good account of himself. I thought Costa did a good job with a couple things. I thought Arnold Allen did a good job with a couple things. Basically, how the fight went was Arnold Allen, his game plan was using his footwork and using his good forward pressure. He would back Costa up against the fence, and then he would wait for Costa to throw a return, and he would either counter off of the return or just get the fuck out of the way and make Costa gas himself out. And that's kind of what happened. It's just both fighters did slow down as the fight went on, but Costa was just slowing down first. Anytime he would drop a gear, it seemed like Arnold Allen was still in the gear above. And even before then, Arnold Allen, he backed up Melquizael Costa to the fence. Costa tried to throw a combination on the fence, and Arnold Allen slipped outside and threw a picture perfect, I think it was left hook, right in the chin, and it spun Costa around because he was throwing a lead hook at the same time. And then Arnold Allen had top position for the rest of the fight. Another thing that Arnold Allen did really well was the outside trip. I don't know what the fuck happened, but Melquizael Costa, I don't know if Arnold Allen is great at outside trips or something, but Melquizael Costa didn't stop a single one. Anytime Arnold Allen went for the outside trip, he would just hook his foot, usually his right leg, his right foot, outside Melquizael Costa's right foot, and then just turn him away into that foot, and he'd fall on his ass every single time. We saw Peyton Talbot do kind of a similar thing to Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo has done that to other people dozens of times, but I've just never seen someone have 100% takedown accuracy exclusively with the same look. But he looked really good. Costa had a couple, there's a lot of times in the feet where I felt like he could have kicked off and got up, but instead he rolled for a leg, or he would, pull an arm bar or something like that. He pulled the guillotine at one point. I think that was a smart move because he was already on his back. But other times when he was in a position to get up, he just didn't. He would return to his back and go for a submission or something. And I just don't think that's a great idea, especially when you're not winning the fight. But a couple of things I liked from Costa. When he was backed up against the fence, he had two kind of common looks. Or I would say three. He would either throw kind of a tappy, soft lead kick. So he'd throw a lead kick to the leg, a lead kick to the body, or a lead kick to the head. And I think the point of that was just to show Arnold Allen something. So Allen would give him space, and he could circle outside and get away from the fence. Another thing he would do is he would throw either a left hook or a left uppercut. A right hook or a right uppercut, with the lead from the southpaw stance, and then he would step through and throw a really hard straight left, and it landed well a ton. Both of them landed a ton of straight lefts. And then the other thing he would do was he would do what he did against Dan Ige, where he'd back up against the fence and throw the spinning back kick, and he kind of telegraphed the spin pretty clearly. Max Holloway kind of does the same thing, where he gets all real tight in his stance, and he gets heavy on his feet, and then he waits for something, and anytime the other fighter makes a movement, he spins and throws the kick. And it kind of got predictable with Costa. Costa didn't really land that spin a ton. He landed the spin a couple times going forward, but never really that clean. And off the fence, anytime he threw it, he would just whiff pretty hard, and Arnold Allen would shoot him for a takedown, or he would counter, or he would just make the strike miss and make Costa waste all that gas. I thought Arnold Allen did a really good job. It was a smart game plan. He executed it very well, I think. He did get cracked by that straight left, probably 10 more times than he should have. But he landed, plenty of his own. So, really good performance from Arnold Allen. That's one of the only fights I got wrong on this card. But, Duo Ochoa versus Daniel Santos was a great fight. This was really just a battle of physical attributes. Daniel Santos has pretty good head movement. Actually, I think they both have flawed head movement. And that they kind of do a similar thing. Duo Ochoa, when he moves in, when he's approaching, he only moves his head laterally. and when he's retreating, he doesn't move his head laterally. And then Daniel Santos is the opposite thing. When he moves in, he doesn't move his head laterally, so he got hit by a ton of jabs. And when he retreats, he moves his head laterally, which is kind of a good thing, but it can be punished. But it worked out for them in this fight. But yeah, Duo Choi, he kept leaning into knees when he would be approaching because he was moving laterally a ton. So he'd move into knees, he'd get kicked, right in the guard a ton. He fell into a couple hooks that maybe shouldn't have. And then when he was retreating, he would get caught by combinations because he's moving backwards in a straight line. So the first round, the physical attribute that was clearly shown was Duo Choi's fucking chin. He was getting caught by giant combinations. He was getting hit by every punch. Some of them he just covered up and just took them on the guard. But he ate them all pretty well. He never got rocked that bad, never got knocked down or anything. And he would return fire. He landed a couple hard outs at low kicks. He landed a lot of good jabs, especially as, like I said, Daniel Santos was moving in. He wasn't moving his head laterally at all. So the jab was there the whole fight. And then the second round, Daniel Santos was throwing a ton of power into everything he was throwing, and nothing was really hurting Duo Choi that bad. A lot of stuff was making him, retreat or reconsider his approach. But nothing was really, rocking him or stunning him. So Duo Choi was able to, keep using those attributive strikes as the fight went on. And in the second round, Daniel Santos was pretty gassed. He had slowed down a bunch, and Duo Choi was able to open up on the feet a lot more, and he just kind of rolled and snowballed his way to a volume TKO up against the fence at the end of the round. Landed a couple good body shots, a lot of good uppercuts. He does a lot of cool shit, Duo Choi. So I hope that he keeps winning because I want to see him against better and better fighters. Yeah, a good underdog pick for me. Duo Choi looked sensational. He's looked really good in his last 3 fights. So yeah, I hope he keeps improving with the quality of his opponents because he's had some great fucking scraps. Juan Diaz versus Malcolm Wellmaker. Really good performance from Juan Diaz. His grappling is really solid. Wellmaker seemed pretty hesitant on the feet, which is kind of surprising because usually you see someone get hesitant on the feet when they gassed out really hard in the last fight, or if they got knocked out really bad in the last fight and they don't want to open up. And that's not really what happened with Wellmaker in his last fight. He did kind of get fraud checked, with air quotes, by Ethan Ewing because he was a big favorite and he should have won that fight. But Ethan Ewing, we know now, is very good. That was a good performance by both of them. And Wellmaker's problem in that fight wasn't the fact that he gassed out. It wasn't the fact that he got rocked because he kept, dropping his hands to throw punches. It was the fact that he wasn't throwing enough. And that's kind of what happened in this fight, but to a way more extreme degree. I'm not sure exactly what, Wellmaker was intimidated by in this fight that made him hesitant. It might have been the power and the countering ability of Juan Diaz. We saw him get that big knockout in the Contender Series. Or it could have been the grappling. Wellmaker is a striker first. He does have kind of an upright style. He doesn't want to get taken down. That was his kryptonite in this fight. It was the grappling that ended up making him lose. But yeah, Juan Diaz I thought looked really good. He looked good on the feet. Wellmaker did good while he's moving forward, but Juan Diaz did a good job countering. He did a good job, using his own pressure to create his own openings. And he used a takedown threat pretty well. He would shoot for a double leg. He would go up in the hips and find a body lock. And his grip strength is fucking insane. I don't think I've ever seen a Caucasoid, is that an appropriate term? Like someone who's not from Georgia, Armenia, Chechnya, Dagestan, or Ingushetia, or Ossetia. I've never seen anyone from it that wasn't from one of those nations have grip strength as good as Juan Diaz has. His grip strength will look insane. Maybe Wellmaker's bad at grappling. That could be the case now that I think about it. But Juan Diaz would shoot for that body lock, go to the back, and then he would have that grip, and Wellmaker would spend maybe not minutes, but like dozens of seconds trying to strip the grip. And get two-on-one wrist control and circle out or whatever. But he just had very, very little success breaking the grip, and then eventually got taken down. He got his back taken, and he got put in a rear naked choke. Didn't fight the hand super well, which I don't love to see. You kind of need those fundamentals to be a good MMA fighter. If someone takes your back and you can roll them to their butt, you should be able to survive the rest around there, in my opinion, especially when there's only like a minute left. But yeah, Juan Diaz got the rear naked choke. It was wasn't like perfectly under the chin. It wasn't like over the jaw. It was like kind of in between. It wasn't the best angle, but I think that grip strength. Juan Diaz had a great squeeze. Malcolm Wellmaker tapped like right away as soon as the choke got locked in. So good performance by by Diaz. I want to see Wellmaker have more volume. I think he's good enough to beat these guys, but yeah, good performance by Diaz. Modesta Bukauskas versus Christian Edwards. Horrible fight. Bukauskas arguably should have lost 1 and 3. They were both close rounds, but he got outlanded to both of them. Round 2, he opened up more and he hurt Edwards with everything he threw on the feet. But he's just so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Complacent with, like, landing a 3-2 and then a 1-2 and then a left hook to the body and then a jab. He did, like, and when I say that, I'm not saying with the pace that I'm talking. I'm saying, like, he's doing one of those things every 25 seconds. He's doing nothing, and then in between, he's in the clinch. He's not doing busy work. He's not throwing strikes, and that's really what made the difference in this fight. If he hadn't rocked Edwards on the feet, a handful of times in the second round, I guess he would have won the second round anyways. But it would have been a much closer fight, and I think most people would have argued that Edwards should have won, just because when they had the moments where nothing was really going on, when Bukauskas had control, he did nothing. He just held, and he'd throw fucking maybe a couple body punches a minute. But when Edwards had control against the fence, he's throwing knees to the body. He's throwing, hard, fucking knees to the thigh, I guess. Okay, so that's not crazy. He's throwing hard punches to the body. He's punching the face, and then when he breaks, he throws a big elbow to break, He's actually doing shit in the busy work time. And because of that, he won a lot of those moments and arguably should have won the first and third round. So, yeah, Bukauskas is a way better fighter. Just a horrible game plan and horrible execution. I have a theory that the people at that gym, what's it called? Wherever Tom Aspinall trains and where Bukauskas trains, I have a theory that they don't spar at all in that gym, because all of the fighters that fight, or at least Aspinall and Bukauskas, they fight like they don't spar at all. Like they just are, they're very tense when they first get in the octagon. They don't have great finishing instincts, and they're like willing to be reluctant. Like they're not, it seems like they're not anticipating the person in front of them punching them in the face, which is like something you need for fighting. Sopai versus Timmy Kwamba. Sopai had a really good performance. He had kind of a low output in the first round, but I loved his footwork. He did an excellent job backing Kwamba up against the fence and making Kwamba, throw with anticipation. And that's not easy to do. So pretty impressive for Sopai to do that, this early in his career. He didn't capitalize a ton. When he backed up Kwamba, most of what happened was Kwamba would throw something and Sopai would make a miss, but he didn't punish him a ton. I don't think he landed a strike for like the first 2 minutes of the fight. But later in the first round, he started to pour it on, increase the volume a bit more. And then he started working on his grappling in the second, got a rear naked choke. Looked pretty good. Chaos Williams versus Nikolai Veretennikov. Veretennikov, as soon as the fight started, looked super shaky. He's like, oh fuck, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. And then he didn't do anything. He just he threw a couple combinations. He looked for some openings. But it was the same thing as the Carlson Harris fight. It's a guy who's obviously intimidated by the power, obviously hesitant to commit to any power strikes of his own. And Chaos Williams isn't stupid. He knows that the guy in front of him is afraid of him. He's just going to fight like the guy in front of him is afraid of him. He's going to be wary of the takedown. He's going to be wary of, big counters. But he's going to move forward and he's going to throw and you're going to get knocked out. So Veretennikov, horrible game plan, horrible execution. Chaos Williams did what he was supposed to do and got the knockout. One of the other fights I got wrong. Fucking hell. Ivan Urslan versus Tuko Telkos. Pretty shit fight. I mean, the first round was kind of insane. Tuko Telkos got hurt and they started trading back and forth. Tuko Telkos landed some good punches of his own. And then in the second round, third round, Urslan just took him down within the first minute and then held him down for the rest of the round. Kind of a shit fight. Tommy Gant versus Artur Minev. Gant looked really good. I thought his wrestling looked pretty solid. He's got a lot of crafty shit that you don't see in wrestling. He throws a lot of he's got long legs and he'll have like a low body lock, like looking for, like if you have a low body lock against you, and you're fighting a D1 wrestler, you probably think he's going to go for a suplex, and instead he'd throw like a knee all the way up into your head, like behind your ear. So a lot of cool shit from him. His ground and pound looked fucking vicious. So he definitely, I don't know who he trains with, what gym Tommy Gant's at, but he looks fucking insane. What gym is he listed at? Doesn't even have a gym listed on Typology. That's a little weird. He fights at Raleigh. I don't know of any gyms in Raleigh that are super big, but he looks really good. He looks like a solid MMA fighter, and he's going to be a fucking problem at lightweight. There's going to be some old bum that's going to get demolished by him, I think. And I hope he turns around quick, because he didn't take a ton of damage. And Artur Minev, it seems like he's pretty legit, so. Good win. Ketlin Vieira beat Cavalcanti. I didn't watch the fight, but I imagine she just held her up against the fence. And then the rest of the fights I didn't watch. Oh, actually, I saw Alice Ardeline. They called it a calf slicer. I don't think that's what it was. She called it a capsule lock or something like that. But basically, Polyana Viana was afraid of grappling, so when she got on bottom, she body triangled herself to the bottom. So it's kind of like a body triangle from a dominant position, but it's from the bottom. and then she tucked her, with the body triangle, like with the stapling leg, she tucked her foot into the hip, like the crevice in the hip of Ardeline, as Ardeline was in her guard, and then Ardeline just passed that foot across her body, and then with her hip contorted Viana's ankle and tapped her with an ankle lock. Maybe it hurt her, I don't know. Polyana Viana acted like she got hurt, but I don't know if she did. And then I got the rest of the fights in the card right, but I didn't watch them, so I'll rewatch them later. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the fights. Let me know what you thought of my recap. Oh yeah, I'll talk about this too. My boy Brian Norman Jr. gets the second round finish over what's his name? Canadian fucker. What's his name? Josh Wagner or Wagner or whatever. But yeah, Brian Norman looked fucking sensational. Looked faster than ever. His combinations looked pretty slick. He fought a can, but he did what you're supposed to do with a can. That he beat the shit out of it, and he had like this stoic look on his face the whole time. He looked pissed off the whole time. So fucking legend. Kelvin Davis kind of robbed Peter Dobson, kind of a dull fight. Both of them look like shit. I think a lot of people thought Santana did a pretty bad job in their fight too, but I missed that one. And then the main event, Keyshawn Davis versus Nahir Albright, kind of a shit fight. Davis was clearly the better fighter, but I think he was a little bit intimidated by the power of Albright. So any time that Albright opened up, Keyshawn Davis would basically headbutt his chest to get in the clinch. And then any fucking time that Albright tried to punch him in the clinch, Davis would complain about punching the kidney or punching the back of the head, which is whatever. Finally, Albright engages in the clinch himself, and he goes for a punch, and Keyshawn Davis literally picks him up over his head and slams him on the ground. It gets 2 points taken, which I respect the fuck out of that. So yeah, those are the fights from this weekend. I think there's maybe some more boxing tonight. I'm not going to watch it, I don't think. Let me know your thought of my recap. Let me know your thought of the card. No UFC next week, so maybe I'll talk about some of the boxing. Or maybe I'll do nothing. I mean, it's Usyk versus fucking Verhoeven. Does anyone care about that? Spoiler alert on my prediction. I think Usyk's going to win. Well, that's actually a pretty good card. Hamza Shiraz is in the co-main event. I don't give a fuck about him. But Frank Sanchez versus Richie Torres should be a good fight. Oh, that might be it. Maybe it's not a good card. That Saudi guy that's on all the, what's his name? Saud al-Mohammed? Sultan al-Mohammed. He's on that card. He might be shit, though. All right, those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. Or, I'm sorry, not my predictions. That's my recap. Let me know what you think. It is 1 in the morning. Give me a break. That's my recap. Let me know what you think. Like the video, share the video. Comment if you want to hear more about a certain fight. I live tweeted, most of the event, so you can follow me on Twitter if you want to see that. Link is in the description. I might be back next week with something about the Usyk card. I might be back the week after that with my MMA predictions. Oh, they announced McGregor versus Holloway. Forgot to mention that. That card is fucking stacked. So we got 2 back-to-back stacked pay-per-views in June and July. Things to look forward to. So that's all good. I mean, that card top to bottom is pretty fucking stacked. And it's got a McGregor main event, which is rare because usually for McGregor cards, they don't stack it at all. Last time, it was fucking Raquel Pennington and Holly Holm at the co-main event. So, I guess it wasn't last time. That was the Cowboy card. Whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, like the video, share the video, the whole drill. That is all. Thank you for listening.